hear that it plays. Right now, it plays like junk. And the reason is, I haven't set it up yet. So,
Man, I don't know what to say.
you don't need to say anything.
Oh my goodness, that is gorgeous.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing!
Wow, that is beautiful.
If you'd like to follow the process of turning a block of wood like this into a guitar like this, then you've come to the right place. And if you would like to see me give this guitar away, click subscribe, hit the bell. I do have permission from Dave Roussan to build these guitars. My pickup here before I start drilling more holes in there. Hey, welcome to Let's Build a Guitar. Today we are in a tornado warning.
Radar indicated rotation. This is moving northeast at 65 miles per hour.
I am here in my basement, which if there's a tornado, it's the place to be. But my family will be coming down here in just a little bit too. But right now, I'm just starting to work on putting together the idea for how this is going to be stained and the challenges that we're going to face with this stain. This is going to be Woody Kane's guitar, and Woody has an idea for it to have kind of a sunburst stain to it. That's a challenge when you have a darker wood like this to get much of a burst look to it. I have taken my stain, and as you can see over here, I've left the white paper towels so that you can see the color on white. And then this is what it looks like on curly maple. So you got a lemon yellow, amber, dark cherry, a light red, and then this is mahogany red. And this is what it looks like on the darker ziricote. Now I can see a little bit of yellow to that. There's not much, but that might be enough to get us what we want. This is the amber. Now, if you know anything about the way colors work or color wheels, if you start mixing all the colors together, what do you get? You get brown. When you add yellow to brown, you get browner, mostly. There's a little bit of a yellow tint to that. But you can see the red coming out on these. So we are going to be able to work probably with this lemon yellow. We'll work a lemon yellow. There is a lighter area here, which should show up a little bit more yellow. And then we're going to work towards kind of a really dark, maybe even black on this edge, which you can see the black over here on the maple, black on the ziricote, or we got the dark medium or the dark mahogany red. So, and now here's my wife.
Hello.
We are here for tornado season.
Got my books.
She's got her gardening book, so anyway, I'll be in and out as you see a little bit of this, and we'll find out if we have a house when we're done here. Should, but there is supposed to be tornadoes coming in over the next few hours, like possible tornadoes, like multiple possibilities. We're not quite as bad as Oklahoma, but northwest Iowa, southwest Minnesota, southeast South Dakota, that whole area, we get our share of tornadic weather.
Minnesota, this is where we do have the tornado warning out for the
tornado on the ground about 10 miles south of here must be.
Great possibility.
Well, round one of storms is done. There's supposedly another round coming in a little bit, but so far there have been a couple tornadoes like within 15 miles or so from here, but as far as I know, everybody's okay. Now, before I stain the guitar, I've got a little bit of a list. I need to drill Forstner bits to deepen the volume, the tone, and the switch, which I have done back in here. And then I've sanded it out. I used the Dremel to even that out and then sand it out so it looks nice back there. And all of that, I've got to drill the 1/4-inch jack, which is on this guitar going to go in here. Normally it goes here. However, Woody would like to have it here, so we're going to put that there for him. I also need to do the conductive shielding on the inside of the body cavity, which is probably something I should have done when they were still 2 halves, but I forgot. But I can do it now. I've got enough openings in here that I'm going to be able to get all the shielding in where I need it in here. So that's going to be just fine. And then magnetic latches for the back plates. I've got to put magnets in here. So get all of my drilling, all of the cutting, all the sanding done ahead of time, and then I can start to stain. However, while you can hear that it plays, right now, it plays like junk. And the reason is, I haven't set it up yet. So that's what today is about. We're gonna set this guitar up, and the brass nut has not yet been brought to size. So I need to do that first. So when it comes to setting the size of this nut, what I'm gonna be looking at, holding my guitar in a playable stance here, I'm gonna be looking at this very first fret and using a measuring tool, and I use the millimeter side for this. I grew up using standard inches and stuff, but when it comes to this fine-tuning stuff, millimeters just seem to be a lot more accurate for me. At the first fret, normal height on an electric guitar is going to be 0.76 millimeters. Like this has 0.75 on as the first thing, so if you just think 0.75, you're fine. We're actually looking for a range. So the normal height on an electric guitar would be 0.76, 0.75. The low end, like the really low action, would be a 0.3, which is really, really low. I'm going to be shooting for somewhere around a 0.5 to a 0.6 maybe, but probably right around a 0.5, because I don't want my strings to be rattling too much or anything. And that means I'm going to take this in increments. Right now, I am actually at... Right now, without working on the nut at all, I am at a 1.5 on the height. Now how that works is I'm holding this up, I'm setting this on the frets, and there is these little gauges, and I'm looking to where the top of my string touches so that this would just be underneath, and right now it's right there at a 1.5. So I want that to be, going to start off at about the 0.75, which would be normal height. I'm going to check it at that, and then I'm going to see where my heights are at, and I'm going to start to work down. What's annoying about it is it takes time, and you just have to do it slowly, and you do it over and over again. When I was younger, I know that I was more I was the guy like, I want to do it once and be happy with it. And so it's like maybe settling for less. But don't do that. Try it, go a little lower, and if you have to, and I try not to do this much, but if you have to, and you're trying to get it right where you want it, go ahead and keep going until you actually go too far. And then you go, crud, I just wasted a brass nut. But they're not that expensive. And if you have a few on hand, then you can also measure that, and you can figure it out with the next one and get the next one right, if that's what takes place. Otherwise, just keep going down until you're like, I'm satisfied with this. This is good. And it should be in that range between 0.3, thank you, phone. It should be in that range between 0.3 and 0.76 millimeters on the low E string from the first fret. That's where we start with the nut height. And then we're going to be moving down to like the 12th fret height as we start to adjust the truss rod and everything. But first, we just got to get that nut right. Right now, it's at 1.5, and I'm going to go down to 0.75. So that means I need to take 0.75 off. I need to make sure that as I take this down, that it is absolutely square, because I need it to be square up against the fretboard. The way I do this to get started, it's pretty rough. I'm just going to use a disc sander, and I'm going to make sure first off that the table is squared up. Guys, I've got a lot of construction stuff going on around me, so it's loud out here. I'll probably just put some background music on, but first I'm going to square up, make sure that it's square. I'm going to wear gloves because this will get hot. The part that's going to go towards the fretboard, I'm going to put down, and I'm just going to move this up and try and put even pressure on as I move it up there. I'm watching my lines to make sure that I don't go past them. Then I will come close to where the lines end, but I'm gonna leave just a little bit because I'm gonna finish it off with sanding it by hand with some finer sandpaper once that I know it's to about the level where I want it. Okay, that's the bottom now. I'll be smoothing that out though a little bit too, but I'm right up to, you can still see my lines, you can see the top of my line. I'll cool it down quick and we'll try it on the guitar. And it looks like I am right at about 0.8 actually. So I'm not quite as low as what I want to be, but that means the action's already going to be much better, in fact. And I still have to change this end. So this will be going lower as well. And I've got to adjust the truss rod. But my strings are not rattling against the frets, which, by the way, is something that personally I like such low action that it does not bother me to have it just barely rattling, especially with new strings, barely rattling. When you're playing without any volume, you might hear it just slightly, but when you've got volume on and it's going through the amp, you won't even hear it. I don't mind that so much because I like the low action. Not that I'm a super guitar player or really fast or anything, but I do like that. Okay, I'm very close here, but I can go a little bit lower. So I'm going to loosen the strings once again, take it off, just go a slight bit more, and then I'm going to smooth it out a little bit, and we'll try it then. All right, I just repeated the process. By the way, when I get done sanding with it, this is very, very hot. That's why the gloves as well. And then I just drop it into a cool glass of water. It cools down instantly, and then you can touch it. Okay, got it re-tuned up and strung up again. Feels really good now. And we are at it looks like it's right at about 0.6, maybe 0.62 or so. Now I need to do some light sanding on the bottom anyway, because I just want to make that a little smoother as I get in there, and I can just put just a little bit more pressure on that. By the high E string, a 0.4 is just fine. That's about where I'm at. I could go down just slightly. So when I sand it by hand, I'm going to put just a little bit more pressure on the high E side of it, and that'll take it just a little bit. So maybe I can get somewhere between like a 0.35 or so in there, and should be set. This actually feels really good right now. And I still haven't done anything on this side. I haven't set the truss rod yet, which it's looking pretty straight, so I'm not gonna do much with the truss rod at this point. I've changed that nut out 4 times now that you've kind of watched in and out. Ran into a little snag, and it's a very little snag, but I've now broken 2 strings on this Schaller on the high E with this tuner, and that's not usually an issue that I have with these. So I'm going to do 2 things. One, I'm going to swap this tuner out to this tuner, put it up with a heavier string so that's less likely to break it. The other thing is that means there might be like a sharp burr or a sharp edge in there, and so I'm going to see if I can file inside of there just the slightest little bit to round off whatever burr there might be in there that's causing those strings to break. How do you file down that little teeny tiny post that's inside there? Well, luckily, I keep my eyes open when I see the cheap bins like at my local hardware store, and I got these little tiny files. And so I'm just going to raise that up a little bit inside that circle, right inside the circle. There's a little post that goes up and down. I'm going to raise it up just a little bit, and on both sides, I'm not going to do much here. But I'm just going to turn it a little and try and rub it on both sides. Turn it a little bit, do it again. All I'm doing is looking to see if there might be a burr of metal inside there that's causing that to snap. So I'm just trying to round off or smooth off that post inside there just a little bit. Well, since I've now sacrificed a set of those DR dime bag strings, which are my favorite to play on my guitars, I am going to put something different on this one. And these are some really nice strings. These are the Brian May. They're an Optima. They're actually 24 karat gold plated. I want this thing to really pop like some of the other ones, so I'm going to put on the good strings for Kyle. So Kyle, I hope you enjoy these. I just always use the packaging for the strings themselves to put over the guitar body so that I don't scratch it as I pull that string out. So just a really good strong tip. The reason why I know that is because unfortunately I scratched one a long time ago when I first got started doing these. Okay, I've got it tuned up. It's playing really wonderfully. I'm actually going to slightly lower this post to bring that high E string down just a little bit, and actually this side can come up just the slightest little bit. So I'm gonna kind of make that, and I can see even by looking at that slightly bent this, or not bent, but tipped up this way, and I'm gonna even it out, maybe slightly tip it the other way. I've now got the height set here. It's playing great. My string height on the 12th fret is 1.5 to 1.6, which is perfect for low action. So I've got a really good low action going on here right now. So rattling on the frets, and my action seems to be real straight along the fretboard, which is really, really good. So I like the feel of that. Next on the agenda then is to intonate, and you can hear it's in tune there, and in fact if I bar chord, it's in tune. The problem is where you start to go wrong if it's not intonated properly. Play my E chord up here open, and you can definitely hear, at least I hope you can hear, that that's out of tune. It's not in tune. So I need to intonate it by moving these saddles forward or back, and depending on if it's sharp or flat. Play it open. I'm going to make sure that I am right on for my low E. And then once that's done, I'm going to check at my 12th fret without pushing over hard or making sure that my string, I'm just barely fretting it, but making sure that I'm fretting. And I'm going to see where I come in at that. Oh, 12th fret. That is not the 12th fret. That is the 9th fret. And it shows that I'm flat, which means if I'm flat, it needs to come this way. Now I'm going to check the high E quick. That is also flat, which tells me right off the bat, because I can look and see I'm just on this side of what would be midpoint there. The whole bridge is going to have to come up this direction at this point. Carefully so that my screwdriver doesn't, turn that down. And that's going to bring this saddle this direction, because I was flat at the 12th, so I want to make it so that it will be more sharp. I've moved them all forward, which is forward is closer to the headstock. Our intonation is much better. There might be a slight bit of one off here yet, so I will go through all of them individually, which I have not yet done. Now glued in my nut, and I just use this Pro Bond Advance, which it adheres to both metal and wood and paint and all sorts of stuff, so that's what I use. Just a couple dabs. You really don't need your nut to be like stuck in that spot. It just needs to be tacked in basically to hold it while the strings are off, because otherwise the strings would just hold them in. But you don't want it falling off when you loosen the strings. So that's all it is. And besides, you might want to take the nut off again, and then you just want to be able to tap it and have it come off. So that's all that's for. Boy, this is starting to play really nice. So it's always amazing to me how when you first put it together, it's like it just, yeah, everything doesn't quite feel right, and you're like, oh boy, and then you start working on it and you go, oh, this feels so good. So now that this is cut out and my hand is all
Sliced up a little bit.
once in a while I just do dumb things. Kyle Smith, I think we're about there. I think we're ready. This is the neck pickup, just going through a Roland amp, and I got a little reverb down there, and I got a distortion I can kick on too, but it's just going through this amp. I'm not recording with the computer or anything. It's just going right into the GoPro. Quick bits just to hear that it's playing good. We'll catch you later.